Welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. This is where you get the latest updates on business, finance, economy, market, as well as investment information. If you couldn't follow us live on television, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, press the notification bell so that you can get notifications. Thank you. Enjoy this video. All right, welcome back to the program. Joining me right now is my first guest, Paul Alaje. Dr. Paul Alaje, actually. Though he doesn't, I don't know why he doesn't. Anyway, we know him as Paul Alaje, but there's growth now. So there is Dr. Paul Alaje, is the chief economist at SPM Professionals. Hello, Dr. Alaje. Good to see you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, ma'am.
Now, let's get started. There's so much to talk about. A lot has been happening in the last few days, but I think I will start by, of course, speaking to you about the GDP growth rate, because the government came out to say, oh, the president is excited. Understandably so on his path. But for those of us that watch the economy and that has an economic history, you know, that historical background of Nigeria isn't doing so well, if you take a look at that. So the first question will be around the excitement of the president, because I also try to understand with him and also look the other way, you know, to gauge the other side. And the question is, do you believe that Nigeria's current economic growth trajectory aligns with this government long-term development goals? Okay. I hope you understand my question. Because
I first need to know what the long-term growth expectation, about $1 trillion
economy, yes.
Government is expecting that to happen, I think, in about 10 years. But when you look at it, between 2022 and to date, or last year to date, the economy slumped by 50%. That means when you look at it, $1 trillion economy is not 1 trillion naira. So we have to stay with the dollars and put our eyes on it. If it is $1 trillion economy, where were we in 2022? We were in $400 billion. Where are we today? $200 billion. Why? Flotation, devaluation. That took the currency with exchange rate quoted for this year's budget, 750. That was what government quoted. Today, government has quoted in MTF 2025 to 2028, 1,400, and expected that by now, budget would have been submitted. For me, what I want to see in the media now is the president going to the National Assembly, submitting his 2025 budget.
No, but okay. I know I talked about this at the beginning, and it's a ritual. I even said we expect the president to submit the budget before the end of the year. He's on his way to South Africa now, I think, for to meet with President Ramaphosa of South Africa. But beyond that, is it just about coming to the National Assembly to submit budget all the time? If we take a look at 2024 projections, or assumptions, as it were, Naira at about 1,002, if I'm not mistaken, for this year. Inflation, 21%. Where are we now? About 33%. So for me, I think it's even beyond the razzmatazz of coming, because we've not met our expectations.
Yes, but because we've not met our expectation, it's a separate conversation. Does not mean that we should not also look at what next year will look like. That we have not met our expectation does not mean we should not be looking at next year's budget. Recall that.
Can we interrogate where we were?
We can. And
for even the National Assembly to begin to ask the president, okay, these were your assumptions, or these were your projections. Why did we fail so this? If Naira is to be this, now Naira is at 1,750. Yes. Do you understand? Yes. And there are projections that it would go lower. Even Governor Cardoso is a bit optimistic about that.
Well, the report we have for 2025 is not saying so.
Which report? SPM?
Of course.
Okay.
Last year, we gave a report that it would be 1.5 this year. It was around, I think the report was released much earlier, around August. And we said that we're expecting Naira to be around 1.5, average 1.5 in fact, from March 2025, that's end of Q1, everywhere gaga, oh, you cannot. Look at it, even parallel market is 750. So, but if you don't manage this thing well, because of the policy of flotation, it was 1.7 to the official window is about 1.6. But I'm not here to talk about SPM report because it's not yet published officially. It's not yet in the public domain. But I'm just saying that those are good expectations. And central bank governor is somebody that loves Nigeria, I believe. So I expect that he would say he wants this to go down. He wants the value of Naira to go up. and he wants the exchange rate to improve beyond this level. But is it really what we are having now? Well, that's where the work comes. That is where knowledge has to be deepened, by these experts. Because when we talk about central bank, don't forget that we have experts in central bank as well. We have quality hands in central bank, some of which I know personally that are really very good. Well, where we are missing it is the point, where the problem lies, because there are great brains in central banks.
So don't you think that every central bank aligns to the vision of the president?
Of course. They align with the vision of the president, but one of the persons the president would ask question, is it the central bank governor, whether the decision in monetary component, because the president technically, whether you like it or not, plays a significant role in fiscal formation. But in the monetary formation that is quote and unquote independent, it will still have to liaise with the central bank. So for me, I would say, what is Monetary Policy Committee expectation? Because that committee must have an expectation. And the central bank governor plays a key role in the economy, not just because of him as a person, but because of the central bank as an institution. We must have a stand, especially when it comes to flotation policy. But let me speak to some of the things you raised regarding the budget performance. The budget is expecting inflation to be around 20-something corridor. We are currently on 33.88%. That target is not met. It's expecting that the economy will grow sporadically, about 6% GDP growth rate. We're looking at 3.46 GDP growth rate. But not of last year's GDP. It's of a much weaker GDP. Now, so non-economists don't understand when we refer to GDP. This growth rate we have is on $200 billion, not on $400 billion. So if you want to compensate for last year, it will be half of the GDP growth rate that you have, because the entire GDP has even emaciated by 50% because of policy. And this is where the complexity lies. This is where it's important for people to know that it's not just adding up numbers. It's looking at the base year. When you use the base year to compare, then you know that even though we have grown on a much weaker economy.
That brings me to the question around the quality of the growth, if we are to assess the quality of this growth in terms of inclusion, because even when the numbers came out, people were like, how that one take concern me? It's not giving me food.
They can't feel the impact.
Yeah, so talking about quality of growth, and I don't know if the president also looked at it before he talked about his excitement in terms of the quality of growth, inclusion, job creation, and poverty reduction. Because for those of you that are economists, if economy grows, there should be propensity for high job creation. There should be propensity that poverty is reduced.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. At least those three should work hand in hand in economic theory. But there are what we call jobless growth.
Yeah, which we had during Jonathan days.
So what we have now, even at that time that we call it jobless growth, is not as
bad
as this. It's worse now. The joblessness and the growth, even though the Bureau of Statistics reported that unemployment reduced from 5.2 to 4.2. The question is, which parameter, which methodology? 1 hour a week. That is, if the only thing you do every week is just this show for 1 hour.
Yes, that
and
means
you are
I'm
paid
employed.
30,000 naira, or you are paid 10,000 naira, you're already employed, irrespective of the amount that you are paid. It can be 5,000, it can be 10,000. You are paid. That is the methodology that we have now adopted. Bureau of Statistics can also share with you what that unemployment means for 20 hours. Then you'll be looking at over 30%. Then we have serious issues. For developing country, I often say that it would be wrong for us to have a single jacket fit all for us because of our peculiarity, because of our level, our stage in when it comes to development conversation. We need to be more, determined, purposeful, and look beyond saying that the numbers are good. The numbers are not, especially for unemployment and also for poverty. I will quote World Bank. I know you are at that event where the World Bank chief said that Nigeria has added 10 million people to the poverty bracket. And he also mentioned that we need to wait for the next 10 to 15 years so that we can feel the impact of this. To my mind, what he meant is that everything will be fine in the long run. But you know, in the
That
long
we should
run,
stay the course.
exactly, to the long run. When you are talking 10, 15 years, you are talking long run.
Yes.
But nobody knows exactly when that long run. That's the beautiful thing about economy. That is why in economic conversation, we advise you, don't bottle a population to the long run. Because in the long run, we are all dead. So don't bottle a population to the long run. Can we have policy with almost immediate impact? Then the response will be that, oh, without pain, there is no gain. I've seen a lot of people that went through pain, they never gained. I've seen economists went through pain without gain. Although, if you want to have gain, you may have some pains that will give you expectation. For instance, FCT, road construction, people are going through traffic. But there is a gain because we know the road is being, not that contractor abandoned the road. There is a gain. So people will see with hope in mind.
Which I mentioned
that
at the beginning.
Something is going on.
Going to happen.
So we will see it. The question is, if economic emaciated from $400 billion to $200 billion and now grow by 3.4, what's the point? What government will do almost immediately, which I expect in the next 1 to 2 years, is part to rebase the economy.
That should come like next year.
So when you rebase the economy, what would you see? You are going to see the GDP go back to about 400 or 500. Because you'll now be looking at bringing it ICT, bringing it Dangote refinery, bringing it a number of things into the covers, hoping that the economy will grow. But you know the danger with that? Your growth rate that is weak, you'll now be using it to target the entire system. So what will happen? It will now, growth rate will now go. You know, before Jonathan rebased the economy, it used to be around 7%. But after rebasing, it went to a lower, much lower corridor of 4%, 3%. And of course, last administration, you saw what happened under Ways and Means. You saw how inflation, because to get the real GDP, you have to make provision for inflation. And how that has really done. Look at our nominal GDP. For this one, massive. Even the last quarter report, massive nominal GDP. But when you look at the large size of inflation that you must use to make provision for, what's it called, inflation, then you know that we have a lot to deal with.
How do you think that this government should address the short-term economic challenges? Because it seems that, of course, the president is always saying, okay, and even his officials, those around him, oh, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. Cardoso mentioned last Tuesday, oh, first quarter of 2025. You know, when you listen to the finance minister, okay, they always tell us that they know what they are doing, that they are on track. But it doesn't seem like so, because Nigerians are being squeezed. And let me, you talked about even employment earlier. I got a call, was it last week, from someone I do not know. I don't know the man up till now. And he was lamenting on the phone to me. He's a deputy director in one of the ministries. And he told me, said, Nancy, with what I take home, he told me his salary, I think, is 440,000 naira as a deputy director, perhaps in one of the agencies. I did not ask, you know, but he said he has dumped his car because he found out that he cannot continue to buy fuel, that he used to send...
SUV is more than 100K.
Yeah.
And we use that a week.
That he used to send like 80,000. He would send like 80,000 to the mom in the village. The 80K cannot buy even a bag of beans now. The man was really practically in pain. I could hear pain. He said, Nancy, you are, in fact, he even accused me. He said, Nancy, you are not doing enough. I know you are trying, but you are not doing enough. Oh, that even they that are civil servants are the ones that are bearing the brunt because their salaries are fixed, as it were. That how can they survive? He's dumped his car. He told me, let me just tell you, he said, many civil servants do not come to work regularly again. You know, that was last week, just a few days ago. From a man that I do not know, and I don't even know how I got my number, but I'm a public figure, so you can expect that my number is not hidden. I'm not a politician. You know, so that is just one. You know.
Unfortunately, I don't have so much good news for the man, because when the new tax bill is passed, he might even have to pay more in taxes.
How? I don't even want us to discuss, because I discussed this tax bills before we went a bit on hiatus due to the African military games. But I know I'll still discuss it. But why are you saying so?
No, because it's the rate that is being proposed.
Which is company income tax?
Personal income tax.
Which goes to the states?
Yeah, which goes to, it doesn't matter who it goes to. Before now, what you have under the tax law, current tax law, is that if you are below minimum wage, you don't pay taxes. When you're above minimum wage to a certain level, you pay 7%, then 11%, then 15%, then 21%, and it goes up. But the new tax bill will take it from people that earn lower than 67,000, they will not pay, because it's 800,000 per annum. Then from that to about 2 million, you pay 15%. That's high for low-income earner. It used to be 7 to 11%. I think that is too high for low-income earner. I think that should be reviewed to something much. You know, what people really are debating is about VAT or not VAT, and they are bringing policies. I'm not for all those political stuff. I'm looking at the purchasing power of the people. So watch this. When personal incomes that have taken, we're now hoping that by next year, VAT will go to 10%. And by 2030, it will go to 15%. Now, after 2025, between 2026 or so, it would have increased to 12.5%. No, you don't make such policy when your economy is going through economic downturn. I just told you that the 50% of the economy has been eroded. Do you know what that means? So if you want to tax, this tax bill is very good, though. Let me just be very plain. There are a lot of good things in this tax bill. Very good bill. 4 of them. Very, very, I love the work that has been put into tax bill. However, the rates are not adding up. And it can hurt the economy. Now, this is how we say it quietly. You know, on your show, we'll say it. Whether authorities will listen or not is a different ballgame. When flotation was starting, we said it. Oh, a lot of people feel, no, it's not this. Now, is the poverty visible? It's
very visible.
It's hunger visible? IMF, last 2 Fridays ago, says that the policy is not correct. And released a report to that matter. The same government said, well, IMF World Bank, they are aligned with. The same IMF 2 Fridays ago. You can check it, so it's online. My loyalty first is to Nigerian state. I don't have another passport. As good as this bill, 70 to 80% of the content are very good. My only worry is these percentages. I think Mr. Edele and the team, alongside with, I don't think National Assembly should throw out the bill. I don't think so. I think the percentages should be reworked. Let it reflect the reality. Instead of moving it from, if you're above 800, from 0 to 15, I think that is too huge. That is too lump sum. Reduce it to 7%. From 7% to 11%, 11% to 15%, and you can progress it. Then the rich you want to target, you can still target them at 25%, which is fine.
I think I don't want us to go into the tax bill yet because I know I've spoken to Taiwo Yedele a couple of times. He will also be on the show to take a look at that. He's done a lot of presentations and all of that. But, you know, my question even around this tax bill is, and especially to the federal government and President Tinubu, is what kind of economy are you modeling Nigeria after? Is it the UK economy, for example, that when you make money, they suffocate you with taxes and all of that? Or is it even the US economy that encourages their citizens to spend and to invest, thereby, you know, expanding the economy? So it depends on your model. But just as we begin to round up, Paul, 2025 is just by the corner. Nigerians barely survived this year. A lot of people do not see the light at the end of the tunnel. What's your own view of 2025? 2025 outlook, I don't know if your organization is doing it. That's one. Then number 2, you know, it also seems that economists are always giving us like a doom. You just mentioned it here that you said, oh, Naira will be 150, and is it that you guys will always be giving us bad story? Okay,
now, it's one thing to give you bad story. It's the other side to check. Remember that there are 2 other economists in Nigeria, very known, just like my humble self. They told you that exchange rate, when we float, it will never go beyond 1-2. One of them, last Tuesday, apologized on national TV at 10 p.m. that he was sorry. The other one personally called me. These are people that are much older than I am in age, you know, and I'm not saying this to say that I am happy or sad. I am saying that economy is not just about thinking about it. We have trend analysis. We have forecasting. We have econometrics. It is the numbers. The difference between us is that we take pain to put the data, input the data one by one, run the program, now interpret it as economic dictates, then tell ourselves the truth. These figures are not good. Should we say it? If we say it, will you like it? The answer will be no. But will it happen? The answer is yes. So but can we do something? Yes.
That's the question.
That tells us that instead of us to have floated, leave it for free flow, we could have done phased out what we call
Managed float.
managed float. We could have done that. Things are not just going to be, this should not have just showed this way. All other
But if you're saying managed float,
administration
I know that, Paul, we've had this conversation and it was a heated one the last
Yes.
time you were here. If we're saying we should do a managed float, does the central bank has the financial power to do that?
Of course.
With how much in this
We
reserves?
have over 40 billion.
Now, but at
Yes.
that time, you didn't have up to that.
We do.
No,
We
at
had.
that time, you didn't have up to
We
that
had.
to defend the naira, because
said
what
we
you're
had.
saying in essence
What
is
is
to
what
defend
is
the
what is
naira.
in the vote of Singapore? Do you know? What is in how many countries make their vote?
Some people don't even, Singapore does not
How
even
many-
make
how
its
many
own
co-
open. They don't make their
So
foreign
why do
exchange
you make
reserves
you
open.
see? There is what they call trade war.
Because you open yourself like to attacks. Singapore, nobody knows their
I
foreign exchange
can't
reserves.
come and expose my country.
So are you saying
and say
that
this is what my country has.
central bank should not
It is
no
not
longer publish
it
FX
is
reserves?
No, it is not everything. You see, there are some conversations that are diplomatic. They are not too good for TV content. I'm sorry. They are not too good for TV content. See, we must do everything legally possible to protect this republic from economic collapse. That is the goal of every reasonable economist. Not that I want to tell you what is sweet. Don't worry, inflation next year will be 9%. I will be lying to you. Because the number I am saying, as of today, the range the number is given to me, best case, you have it is 27. Worst case, you have it is 36. It might shoot out on both sides, but when you realign it, that's what is given.
So-
but government is expecting it to go below those figures.
Okay, so you're
but
saying-
I don't think so.
You're saying 27, the best case, is that what you're saying?
Yes, the best case,
Then the worst case is what?
36.
36, but you're saying it could shoot bit in the middle.
It could shoot in the middle.
So that's about 31.5, 32%.
I would want to say an average of 30-31%.
percent for
But
next year.
is that what we are seeing in MTEF? Because you see, when we have, that is why you see, sometimes I check who are the people making this forecast for us. Government, innocently, President Tinubu's policy will now be based on those things that has been documented for him to do. But unknowingly, that those were not the things that will happen. That is why we should use proper forecasting. Not just we think that this should be the matter.
Okay, I think, Paul, let's leave it at that. Let's hope that we'll have this conversation again before the end of the year.
No problems.
Let's see about that. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Dr. Paul Alaje, who is the chief economist at SPM Professionals. Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content.